And that happened in, I mean, almost every situation, right? 2018, when the markets collapsed, risk assets fell as well across the board. And you basically go back to any point when there's panic in any market, it tends to bleed over because people get panicked overall. I shorted a little Bitcoin right up here because, again, on a psychological basis, this was the cycle midpoint of the bull cycle, right? We talked about this even just a week ago or so when we had our last chat, Greg. This was going to be resistance, and then you could see it working here, and so price is going to struggle right there. And so for me, it's until it's broken, it's resistance. That's just what it is. My heart might say, oh, I really hope it breaks out. My gut may say it, but in all honesty, they mean nothing compared to what the charts are really telling us. And so for me, it's short Bitcoin until it.
Apparently, Bitcoin failed to break the 30,000 resistance level in its recent pump, leading to a small consolidation that left us wondering what's coming next. By the time we're recording this video, Bitcoin is still holding the 27,000 price level, but according to Gareth Soloway, chief market strategist from In the Money Stocks and verified investingcrypto.com, the bear market is not over, and we may go down again. In fact, Gareth has been saying this for a while, but people were so excited with the pump that no one wanted to believe in that possibility. But like Gareth says, resistance is resistance until it's broken, so let's see what's happening next. So far, the market sentiment is still bullish and greedy, but can Bitcoin hold these prices and still have the strength to break some more resistances before the pullback? Let's see what Gareth has to say about this.
What we're seeing here on Bitcoin is, number one, just recent. Let me go to my 10-minute chart because this is a pretty recent sell-off just in the last hour or so. And we can see it all of a sudden starting to dump to the downside here. And if we go back to your daily chart, one of the things I'm watching here is that if you look at the lows of this consolidation pattern, right? Look at this, right? If we just draw a trend line right across here, you essentially are right at that area. So in the short term, this 26,700-800 level, very, very important. If this breaks, then you're headed to this level, which is at 25,000. So you are at a very pivotal point. A lot of people have been speculating in the crypto markets that we're just about to this big breakout. I'm not a speculator, right? And I think that's when we say that word, I'm speculating it's going to break out. But in reality, a good trader doesn't speculate. We go with probabilities, right? It's probability driven. And so for me, I shorted a little Bitcoin right up here because, again, on a psychological basis, this was the cycle midpoint of the bull cycle, right? We talked about this even just a week ago or so when we had our last chat, Greg. This was going to be resistance, and then you could see it working here, and so price is going to struggle right there. And so for me, it's until it's broken, it's resistance. That's just what it is. My heart might say, oh, I really hope it breaks out. My gut may say it, but in all honesty, they mean nothing compared to what the charts are really telling us. And so for me, it's short Bitcoin until it breaks above this area, in which case I would just cover and take a small loss. But ultimately, probabilities tell us it should head lower.
As we can see, Gareth even shorted Bitcoin on that level. So with that in mind, what's the bear thesis for Bitcoin if we're still going lower? What will be the bottom? The 10,000 price target Gareth called before.
Again, 2023, could it be early 2024? It's hard to know. But the bottom line is that if you look at past bull markets, and I know if you've been around a long time like me, you know, you've seen real estate bubbles and crashes, you've seen bond market bubbles and crashes, and you've seen the financial crises and so forth. So .com, I still can't recall the last time I saw a real bear market bottom where bullishness came back this fast as it has in crypto. And that's concerning to me. They always say you got to flush out the weak hands. And I don't really believe that crypto really ever flushed out the weak hands when it was down in the 15.7-ish range. So that's a concern to me. I also think that, you know, if you look at interest rates where they are, the Fed has just said in their last meeting, hey, we're leaving them here. We may not hike them more, which I don't think they will do much, but we're not going to lower them for a significant amount of time. That's going to be very hard for a risk asset like Bitcoin to deal with. And then you also have a scenario where you're going to get the stock market, in my opinion, to realize we're going into a recession. It's got to price that in, which probably means 20-25% downside in the S&P. How does Bitcoin react to that? And I got to believe that there's bleed over and selling pressure there as well. So if we were to establish ourselves above 30,000 here, and hold there for a week, then you might convince me that the lows are in. But as of now, we're not above there. So I'm still in the camp that there's still a bear market here. We might go lower. 2018, when the markets collapsed, risk assets fell as well across the board. You basically go back to any point. When there's panic in any market, it tends to bleed over because people get panicked overall.
What about the S&P 500 and overall macro? Since Bitcoin usually correlates with the stock market, what does Gareth see there?
Yeah, and I think that's amazing to see the disparity where the market is like being like, no, we will not accept what the Federal Reserve is saying. Part of that, honestly, is a loss of confidence in the Fed, right? I mean, the Fed has said this before, and then they've pivoted very quickly. The only thing I would like to point out about that is that in the past, when they've kind of changed their mind, like 2018, great example, they were hiking rates, market dropped by 20% in something like 6 weeks, and then they reversed and actually started cutting rates. But that was a different time because inflation was 2% or under. And that's the kicker here, is that how much pain is the Fed going to let the economy have as long as inflation's above that 2%? I do think there's a pivot point. I just don't think we're going to get to that point yet this year where the Fed is willing to cut. In my opinion, the Fed's not going to let inflation go up. And part of this is a mentality of the Fed, right? So the Fed realizes, and I think politically this has been pushed on them as well, which is rightly done, is that inflation hurts middle income and lower income. When you have, free money, a lot of the rich get richer, right? So the question is which one is your greater evil? And when you're talking about middle and lower income, then it's obviously inflation is the greater evil than a market decline of 20 or 30%. It's the one thing I do know is the next 6 to 12 months are going to be very, very interesting. And it's going to be scary at some points, but remember, and I always say this to people, is that scary means opportunity too, right? And so you have to this is why it's good to have a little cash on the sidelines, is you just never know when the great deal is going to come up.
Why will it be scary?
And by the way, I mean, I'll just show a chart here, but one of the reasons why this market to me is scary, and I've said this before, how we may not hit new highs for 10 to 15 years, and people, it's all the young people that haven't experienced like the dot-com collapse are like, oh, that's impossible, like you're insane. But if you go to your larger time frame, right, like if you go to your monthly chart and you go back to the previous bubbles, right, and again, here's your dot-com run up, your pullback, your 2007 run up, which was before the financial crisis. That was the bull market there. And then look at what we've just come out of. And let me remove these lines. But
That's
I mean,
insane.
like this was like a big wave. This is like a tidal wave. I mean, and like I look at that and I'm like, dude, that scares the crap out of me when I see like the amount of upside that was driven by quantitative easing and these printing of money. And it makes me aware of how bad. I mean, people to me don't have any concept of if we really got in the crap, if it really hit the fan, what could end up happening. I mean, I've even speculated that if we got the ultimate reset, we've never retraced to the highs of this double top. So charts generally, they like to break out and then they like to retrace and then they like to go higher. We never retraced because the market never got that chance because there was so much money printed. So in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh. And again, this is worst case scenario, but is it possible that we could ever go back to that level? I don't know.
Was it an intelligent decision to take a short on the 30,000 level? Can Gareth be right again, or will Bitcoin finally pierce that resistance this time? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more daily crypto just like this.